Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. And again, I want to thank all my loyal subscribers who subscribe to the Sir Worldwide channel. You know, we got a lot of comedy there, and it's coming back. And we got some stuff on health that really helps a lot of people. But we got this historian that I refer to as my friend that I've known a very long time. I said second to none. I'm not just using that slang. He's second to none when it comes to history, right? And as you know, history does not start with our enslavement. So pay attention.
Hello, family. We're back for part 2 of the Negro Leagues. As you remember before, we started out with the great Kansas City Monarchs shortstop and Hall of Famer from the Chicago Cubs, Ernie Banks, who said, "Let's play 2." So this is part 2 of our doubleheader on the Negro Leagues. And we want to start off by saying that we want to talk about first Josh Gibson. We said earlier that it was a 363 batting average, but now it's finalized at 365. Now actually Ty Cobb would be 1 point ahead at 366. That'll put Josh at 365. Second highest batting average in recorded history of professional baseball. Now, we also want to say that it just came out that Josh Gibson also now hit 441 in 1943, which puts him 1 point higher than the Major League all-time single season leader in batting average, which was Hugh Duffy of the National League Boston Bean Eaters in 1894, who hit 440. Now, obviously, 1894, they were more or less playing overhand softball. That's still the dead ball era. Josh in the live ball era hit 443. Now, some people are going to complain because he did it in less games. But you can't have it both ways. You can't say that Josh is not legitimate when Lemieux won the batting title in 2020 in a 60-game season because of the COVID. If you're going to count those statistics, then these statistics would have to be just as legitimate. In addition to that, we already mentioned that these people were barred from the league, which we all know. So that means that we don't really know what he would have hit in a major league competition. But we do know he hit, like I said before, 424 all-time career-wise against major league pitching. And the best major league pitchers of the era, from Jerome Dizzy Dean with the St. Louis Cardinals and later Chicago Cubs, and Bob Feller with the Cleveland Indians, all said that he was the best hitter they ever faced. That's good enough for me, because you're going to have to go on what the peers said about these people when they played them, in addition to the statistics, because the statistics aren't on an even playing field because they didn't play as many games. That being said, Josh hit 441. That's the highest average ever in a single season, so that's what we go with. Josh has the highest slugging percentage all time, higher than Babe Ruth. He's second to Ty Cobb in batting average at 365. Second to Ty Cobb, Cobb was 366. And then, of course, he was fifth all time in on-base percentage. So we have to rank Josh as the best player ever. Now, as far as the home runs are concerned, I know he only hit maybe 238 homers. They're still looking at it. It could be a few more in the Negro League play. But he hit a lot more homers in other games, particularly against major leaguers in what they call the barnstorming period, or the barnstorming exhibition game period. And speaking of that, those exhibition games outdrew the World Series because they would be played, a lot of them, at the end of the season. Major League All-Stars against Negro League All-Stars. Negro League All-Stars won over 60-something% of the time, which means the Major Leaguers only won 30-something% of the time. So that sounds like domination to me. And Josh dominated those pitchers. They all said he was the best hitter. That's what we're going to go with. And then his statistics also prove us the point. The last thing I'm going to say about that, well, two more things. One is that when you look at how many times per at bat he hit a home run, if you count those barnstorming games, which were exhibition games, and other games, he would have a home run probably every, I think it was every 9 at bats, 9 point something at bats, where Roof was slightly over 10. Um, it's slightly higher now with just the Negro Leagues, but it's still around 10 at bats. So Josh was clearly the best. Last thing we're going to say about Josh, other than he was the greatest catcher ever and the greatest player ever, is that he's the only one who they said hit a ball out of Yankee Stadium. Now, that happened twice. Once in the 1930 season playing with the Homestead Grays, and in the 34 season, I believe, when he was with the Pittsburgh Crawfords. Josh Gibson. The thing is, with Josh Gibson, when he did that in 1930, he hit the deepest home run ever in Yankee Stadium at the time. He was 18 years old. Let me say that again. He was 18 years old at that time, as he was born in December 1911. And in 34, also, he hit the deepest home run comparable ever in Yankee Stadium. I know a couple decades later, Mickey Mantle hit one. It hit the facade below the roof, or it would have went out. But the point is, to right field is much shorter porch than where Josh Gibson hit it to left field. So that's a whole nother thing. And also, Josh Gibson hit the ball clear out of the Polo Grounds. It was a 600-foot shot that landed on the L tracks of the A train, where Duke Ellington famously wrote, "Take the A train, quickest way to get to Harlem." And the Polo Grounds, as we all remember, were in Harlem. So those are the things we wanted to say about, we should say Mr. Gibson, but we'll say Josh Gibson. We just can't give enough accolade to him. He's the best, bar none. Now, also we said Judy Johnson at third because of his defense and so forth, but when we look at the final statistics, it's clearly Judd Wilson's going to be at third. Judd Johnson, I'm sorry, will be at third. He's third on all time on the batting list. Judd Wilson, you can't say nothing else about him. He's just the best. I think he had the 8th highest on-base percentage. He's unbelievable. But again, wasn't allowed to play in the league. So when you start talking about the first commissioner, Judge Kennesaw Mountain Landis, who was a federal judge in Chicago, one who put Jack Johnson in jail, in fact, in the Mann Act case, he's the one that the Major League owners approached to be the first commissioner after the Chicago White Sox threw the World Series in 1919. And he's the one who drew the color line. He died in November 1944. Jackie Robinson was signed by the Dodgers in October 45, played in minor leagues in 46, won the minor league World Series, debuted for Brooklyn in April 47. That's all recorded. But the bottom line is that these people were kept out of the league because of that. Oscar Charleston, his first 5 years from 1915 to 1920 are not counted because they're only counting 1920 to 1948. So real quick, we'll go over the list one last time because we touched on the best Negro League players, but we're going to give a best player assessment of all the players, Major League and Negro Leagues. We're going to put Josh number 1. I'll put Hank Aaron number 2. Some people will go with Willie Mays. I put him number 2. Hank Aaron, if you take his 755 home runs and make them all outs, he'd still have 3,000 hits. That's how great he was. Babe Ruth never even got 3,000 hits, and he played 20 years in the league. And most people will say because he was pitching, he only pitched in 1914-1915 season. Starting in 1916, Babe Ruth played every day. When he didn't pitch, he played first base or right field, so that squashes that. Another quick thing, Babe Ruth hit all those home runs. When he was in Boston, that's a 302 fence to right field because he's a left-handed hitter. When he played at the Polo Grounds, that was a 252, 256 fence. Willie Mays played at the Polo Grounds before they moved to San Francisco, but it's 315 down the left field line. He was a right-hand hitter. And then, of course, the old Yankee Stadium was only 296 down the left field line, right field line. So Babe Ruth's a little bit overrated in that regard. But we're going to say Josh Gibson was the best. We're going to say Hank Aaron, Willie Mays would be third, Oscar Charleston, then Judd Wilson, And then we can look at Martin Diego. And now you can talk about Ted Williams, who would have had more home runs than Babe Ruth if he didn't go to Korea in World War II. And Willie Mays would have had more home runs than Babe Ruth if he didn't miss the remainder of the 52 and all the 53 season in the military during the Korean conflict. So we need to mention those things. Best all-time, to conclude, the best all-time position by position, Oscar Charleston left, Willie Mays center, Hank Aaron in right. We're going with Judd Wilson at third. We're going with Martin Diego, who predates the 1920 statistics. I'm sorry, we're going with John Henry Pop Lloyd at short, who predates the 1920 statistics. Martin Diego at second. You could put Lou Gehrig at first. I would give the edge to Buck Leonard, and of course Josh behind the plate, and Leroy Satchel Paige pitching. So there you have it, folks. It's a sad tragedy that these people weren't allowed to play in their primes, but I'm glad we did include their statistics in the all-time record book. And we see who the best players are ever. Take care, and we'll be back again, family, for another storyline. All right.
So you see, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, history is the most important thing you can study. It really is. Because without history, we're just ignorant. I'm just saying. Aloha.